Whew, pumped. What are we reviewing tonight? Oh God. Hello and welcome to another midnight showing. As always, I'm Kelly, and I just got out of Magic Mike XXL, Magic Mike extra large, Magic Mike 2. I'm just gonna call it Magic Mike 2. Okay, so non-spoiler version for those who actually are considering this. This movie was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I'll admit, I'm not a fan of the first one. In fact, I only made it about 2/3 of the way through before turning it off, bored out of my brains. It tried to do something more by showing like an introspective look into the lives of the male strippers, but it had no idea who the main character was. Kept jumping back and forth on these plot lines, and frankly, Channing Tatum, finish a fucking sentence, please. So yeah, there's my thoughts on the first one. I went into this movie with no expectations, thinking that it was just gonna piss me off on the levels of 50 Shades of Grey. Just female smut everywhere. And what I got instead was a semi-intelligent road trip with a bunch of broskies on their last ride. It's actually wasn't that bad. I know, I feel dirty saying that. But yeah, it really wasn't that bad. The story basically centers around Channing Tatum, who is moving on with his life. He's with the girl from the last movie, although she never makes an appearance, thank God. But yeah, he's got his company up and running and started. He's got one employee. He's trying to expand the company so he can pay for his employees' health care. Just shit keeps happening, and then his bros call saying that they're going to be passing through. He meets up with them and ends up deciding to go on a road trip to a stripper convention. I just have to ask, is that stripper convention real? I have no doubt that it probably does exist, but it still makes me laugh. It's not like it's a generalized convention either in the movie, by the way. It's strictly a male stripper convention. No female strippers allowed, because this is only for the ladies. But yeah, the movie itself progresses pretty good. Some scenes run on too long, others not long enough, in my opinion. But the acting is solid, and I have no problem believing that these guys are all friends, just like the last movie. And as I said, it was semi intelligent with themes of what do we do after we're too old to do this anymore, or moving on. Basically, it was actually fairly decent. So yeah, I could recommend this movie to people. Again, I feel dirty saying this. This is Magic Mike. This is female smut. This is stuff that I should not be liking, but I actually walked out with a smile on my face. I don't regret spending money on this. Admittedly, I probably am giving it a little bit more credit than it's worth because I only spent $1 on the ticket. Thank you, coupons and matinees. But yes, so final verdict from me on this one is, if you can get a matinee or get it at the value theater, I'd say go check it out that way. I wouldn't pay full price for this because, yeah, I'll admit, it has a lot of problems, and I couldn't honestly recommend that you spend full price for it. So, yeah, if you can get a matinee or the value theater if you have one in your town, wait till it gets there before you actually check this one out. There's no rush on it. Even if the movie does take place on July 4th weekend, yeah, I couldn't help but notice that that's the weekend it takes place on and what weekend it decided to come out. But it's really bad to say that this is the better movie when compared to the other movie that released this weekend, Terminator Genesis. But I should already have the video out post with my opinions on that. Link in the description below. But moving on to the spoiler section for those who want to stay. Let's go back to tour de form and talk more about the good. As I said, the acting on this from all characters, I can't think of a single one that wasn't really good. Everybody played their parts perfectly. Maybe a couple of the side characters, the Andre and the other stripper guy who follow uh, Will Smith's wife from her stripping joint as she comes to MC these guys later in the movie. Maybe those two, just because we didn't really get. We got maybe 2 talking scenes with Andre, and the other guy, I don't even know if he said anything throughout the whole movie. But yeah, the acting was just superb, and they play off all of the people. Channing Tatum, the Italian guy whose name Joe Malaggiadavado, I don't know his name. I've seen him in so many things, but yeah, he, uh, Gabriel Iglesias, Matt Bomer especially. My God, you were so much more improved than the last movie. Last movie, I don't think that you did anything except sleep with a couple of girls and had that one commercial, but it's been a while since I walked out of that movie. I might give it another shot after seeing this movie, but it'll be a while and probably have to be drunk. But Matt Bomer, one of my favorite up-and-coming actors, in my opinion, the guy needs to get more work. You might know him from White Collar. He played Neil Caffrey. I almost said Will Caffrey for a second. I don't know where that came from. But he played Neil Caffrey on that. It's a great show. Highly recommended. All but the last season are on Netflix right now. Check it out. But yeah, he is just as good in this as he is inside of that TV show. And I love him in that TV show. He's done some other work. I've seen him guest star a couple of times. And he did do the voice for Superman and Superman Unbound. So he is getting work. I just... give him more, please. Let him show you what he can do. But, yeah, I mean, all the guys here are just complete friends. And the way they deliver every single line, every single comedic response of each other, every time when they pull the rug out and just go serious, you completely 100% believe it. It's, as I said, just like in Entourage, I have no problem believing these guys are all friends. The way that they just interact with each other, the way that they talk, the pranks they pull, the drugs they ingest. There's a really good scene I'll talk about in a second involving drugs, a gas station attendant, a bag of Doritos, and a water bottle. Oh, being serenaded to Backstreet Boys. Let that simmer for a second. But yeah, these guys are just, unlike Entourage where they were all douchebags, these guys are 100% real lively human beings. And although they do have douchebag moments, at their core, they're entertainers. Whether they be male entertainers or YouTubers like me, their goal is to entertain you, keep your focus, and make you leave with a smile on your face. Which is one of the themes of the movie, is what they mean to the women they entertain at that moment. Sometimes they're helping them through something pretty tough. And I completely understand and complete support that kind of a message, especially from this kind of a movie. I mean, seriously, this should not be inside of a stripper movie about guys who hump a pole for about 2 hours. No, this is actually some pretty intelligent stuff, even if it's kind of subdued compared to what the message of what do we do after all of this. It's just kind of nice to see that kind of a message, and it's a complete plus in my opinion. As I said, I walked in expecting nothing, with a bare amount of expectations. And, frankly, these guys make me look bad. But, yeah, they completely sell all of their parts. Every single time they do one of their little stripper montages, yes, you're rolling your eyes in the seats of this, but at the same time, the sheer athleticism of some of these things, because I swear to God, at one point Channing Tatum starts picking up the person he's dancing for and starts swinging her around with his dance and putting her in mock sexual positions, and then literally coming from positions where he's laying flat on his back, going straight up with her on top of him with very little effort. I mean, damn, I grab my Buster Sword here and start swinging to build up my arm strength. Jesus Christ. But yeah, it's 100% believable. All of these guys play their parts as strippers and as friends perfectly, and it's really enjoyable to watch, especially when they start doing some antics. As I said, there's a point in the movie where they all take what I can only describe as a crack pill. Because it's the same as snorting cocaine or just shooting up. But they take the pill, and within an hour, they're bouncing off the walls inside of their food truck that they're traveling in. Yes, a food truck. Not exactly the best driving conditions, if you ask me, but whatever. And they convince one of the guys, the Joe guy with after shadow and curly hair, they convince him to go and try to cheer up this gas station attendant at the place they stopped. It's kind of their moving into, we need new routines because the old ones, yeah, they're all just routines. We need something that speaks us. They need something like that. They don't think they can do it, but while they're drugged out, they convince him to try it on this attendant, and it is just as hilarious as I am trying to make this sound, because he walks in and he just starts doing the posing with the butt swinging out, he's like showing off his physique with some yawns, and then the Backstreet Boys come on, and I'm trying to think of the exact song, because let's face it, a lot of the Backstreet Boys songs sound exactly the same. That's kind of the thing with boy bands, but he just starts moving with it, and he's like going down, showing off his butt, doing all the flexible stuff. He starts doing little stripper routine dances, grabbing a bag of Cheetos, and he's like using it as, oh, he like goes up. You've seen part of this scene inside of a trailer where he's like right against the not the vending machine, but the cooler with all the drinks in it. And he starts doing his little thing, and he grabs one of the water bottles, and he like smashes it up, and with a pelvic thrust, like ejaculates all of the water out of the bottle. It is stupid and campy in all of the right ways. And I could just seriously go to YouTube when this movie comes out, look up that scene, and just put it on repeat, because doing this all perfectly in time with the music, it's so fucking hilarious. It's just one of those guilty pleasure moments you're like, I should not be laughing at this. And what tops it all off at the very, very end is that he ends his dance thing right as the song ends, and he ends up like literally right at the counter. And he's like just like plays it all cool. He's like, how much for the Doritos on the water? Just like, no, I can't take this. I can't. It's that stupid kind of fun that you're going to enjoy, even if you feel like you need a shower afterwards. And there's a lot of really good moments. Not quite as good as that gas station scene, but frankly speaking, just sparks throughout all of these. Some of these conversations work very well. There's a really good moment where Channing Tatum introduces himself at the end of a conversation by going, Magic Mike. And just one of those ones, you just get really good chuckles out of these guys. They're all performing perfectly, and the writing is surprisingly a lot more intelligent than you'd think for something like this. As I have stated multiple times, this is a semi-smart, brainless film. It's really weird. Overall, the film is shot and directed very, very well, giving you kind of the sense of those old road trip movies like Vacation, but just with a lot of really muscular guys who make you feel inadequate and are funnier than you and get paid more than you. And okay, enough of that. But it's just every single one of these characters is, and then they come in and they introduce about halfway, 2/3 of the way through, Will Smith's wife. I can't remember her first name at the moment, and call her Mr. Smith, or her name inside of the movie, which is Roman. no, it's not Roman. It's Rome. Her place of establishment is Romana, but it's her. She goes by the name Rome. And after Gabriel Iglesias crashes their car and gets a concussion, he was going to MC them throughout all of this, but he's in the hospital, so they need to find a new one pretty quick. Channing Tatum knows someone who might be able to help. Emphasis on the word might. So they go to her place and try to convince her. And this is... That's one of the moments that goes on way too long. They spend way too much time inside of her place doing literally nothing. When Channing Tatum and her are talking, it's fine. But there's a lot of time spent to exploring and just seeing these other random strippers. You have no idea who they are, doing random stripper things. That's when it felt like it was just smut for the sake of smut. Oh, we need to put more of this inside there to get the female audience there. Okay, we'll spend this. And, yeah, I'm kind of jumping into using this as a benchmark to jump into the bad, which, yeah, I guess that's the best time to actually do it, is Will Smith's wife is great. She's very, very intelligent. She's got a nice little southern spunk to her, and it worked on every level. When she's master of ceremonies of this super stripper convention, I have no doubt that she knows how to play a crowd. This isn't like I see this, from a writing standpoint, I can see how this works perfectly fine. No, I completely 100% believe that she does exactly what she says she does inside of this movie. It's that convincing because, frankly speaking, she just drips with style and ooze, the same way that Will Smith does in most of the things that he's in. It's just 100% believable. So, yeah, that's enough of the good. Let's go into some of the bad. And, yeah, the bad is, this movie goes exactly where you think it's going to go. There are no hills and valleys. They make these exact same stops you think they're going to make. They do all of the Pratt stuff you think they're going to do. Sit around talking for a little while and start bashing. They have problems with each other and they gotta get it out by hitting Channing Tatum in the balls. It's your typical road trip movie. There's nothing really special about it there. What elevates it is the good writing and the overall messages of these, as well as some of the hilarious situations. But ultimately, yeah, you've seen this movie before. In fact, you've seen it in any movie that has a competition type setup. Bring It On, the Step Up movies, which Channing Tatum was in. Any of those movies, especially dancing ones, it's the exact same formula. It's the same plot. You've seen it recycled 1,000 times. And, yeah, I kind of wish they'd done more with it. But we get some of the other ones. As I said, this doesn't feel like it was edited properly. Some of these scenes are way too fast. And they just seem like they're cut so abruptly. Like there was more to this, but they didn't want to put it in there because that would have made it 2.5 hours. They were already 2 hours long. We can't do that. But then other scenes feel like they needed to be cut. Especially when they go to freaking, as I said, Rome's place and you spend all this time with these random strippers, with the exception of Andre, who, as I said, you have like 2 or 3 conversations. You meet like 2 or 3 other strippers in that joint, and you only ever see one of them later in this movie. He doesn't even have a line, I don't think, after this. It's just so random. They cut to this movie, this part of this, the obvious smut part, even more obvious than the obvious competition at the end of the movie. It's where they just sit around, the guys are drinking, Channing Tatum and Rome are supposedly talking upstairs, and you've got a bunch of muscular black guys humping women who are sitting on a chair inside of basically the size of my room. Really small environments with a lot of people shoved in there, and Everybody's got ones. Lots of ones. I don't even know where they get all of these ones, honestly. At the convention, I completely understand that they would set up and make sure they had enough ones. But this lady's strip house castle? Okay. And it just spends so much time here. That scene literally lasts 25 minutes. Why? It should last 10, 15 tops. We get an idea of what's going on inside there from just walking by. Channing Tatum has his talk with Rome. She puts a test where he has to do his little stripper routine to hip hop music because Channing Tatum dances. Okay, and done. Scene done. Instead, we get Andre's song rap, made up rap song thing to woo this girl. We get the big black guy humping some fat chick's face for 5 minutes. And we get a bunch of shots of random other strippers inside this joint. What was the point of this? Now, I know that this is one of those things. I'm reading too much into a stripper movie. But as I said, the rest of this movie is pretty damn intelligent. And this isn't the only time they do this. There's another part of the movie where they end up stopping at a friend's house. Yeah, I'd really like to know how the guy from CSI really knows this chick who looks like she's barely 18. But far be it from me to speculate on possible jail offenses right there. And of course they get into the place and they don't run into her and her friends. They run into her mom and her friends who are all talking about all of their sexual escapades, and they sit there and talk for 30 minutes. At least near the end of this, Matt Bomer is trying to cheer up one of the ladies who's having a really, really bad patch with her husband and trying to get her to be more, not really assertive, just aware of what's going on. That her husband is not treating her properly, especially when it comes to bedtime, invoking that they have to sleep with each other with the lights off. That's a pretty big telltale sign that she should probably work out, but he's actually trying to convince her and help her, and they start talking about some of the stories, and he uses that and starts singing her song to her, which I think was Heaven from the 90s. You know, this is heaven. I can't sing it, but yeah, he starts singing it to her while doing part of his stripper routine for her to give her a smile and give her some confidence, something to think about. That was good. That was 5 to 10 minutes of a 30-minute sequence. The only other part that actually felt good, necessary, or entertaining at all was when, I think his name was Texas, the oldest of the guys, just a big old monster, responds to the lady who's saying that monogamy is overrated, and she prefers with as many people as possible. He actually comes out and says, that's actually a double-edged sword, because I've lived that life my whole life. And you want to know what? Truth is, I'd give anything to be able to go home and have a loving wife and have some kids. That's the only other moment that felt real in that broke up this segment of stupidity. And he's completely 100% right. And it's one of the reasons why I like his character, or all these characters, because, yeah, they're male strippers, they're male entertainers, they're still human beings. And that's one of those moments that I was just like, kudos. Going back onto the good for a second. But yeah, these scenes just feel like they're way too goddamn long, and they don't go anywhere. All this ends up doing is the cliche where one of the guys ends up sleeping with this older chick, and then she ends up giving him a car so that they can make it to their hotel, where the MC the Rome chick ends up deciding to work with them, and they have to create brand new routines and everything on the spot, on the fly, and they got one day to make it work. as I said, you've seen this plot before. You've seen this in every single dance-off movie you've ever seen. But when we finally get to the climax, I'll admit, a lot of these routines are pretty goddamn impressive. Matt Bomer's, Channing Tatum's, and the Italian guys come to mind. You know what I'm talking about. I've mentioned enough. Those three were really, really good. Texas's, it didn't really have anything impressive with it except for a glitter trick because he's an artist. Okay, CSI, Miami, Delco, just, I don't think women appreciate you dumping chocolate all over them, even if it is in a highly sexual manner and you're licking some of it off. I'm just saying, they have to go stand out in the crowd for at least an hour or more because the convention's not over. But, again, whatever. His didn't have much athleticism to it or intelligence. Everyone else's actually had some form of talent put into it, whether it be the dancing from Channing Tatum or Matt Bomer singing as he strips and serenades some of the girls. There's a big old theme of putting your passion into your work. Yes, they're male strippers and whatnot, but they're more than that, and what they're moving on to afterwards. Matt Bomer's acting career and singing career, Channing Tatum's dancing and furniture house. What they're moving on to, they're incorporating into it so that their acts actually feel more real, and not just your simple, oh my god, muscular men with very big crotch pieces, woo! Oh, and one other really good thing while I'm thinking about that, before they went on to the final thing, their final match, the act before them was a bunch of Twilight strippers. I laughed as much as I could at that one, because that just, god damn it, I didn't think that was going to be real, but it is. And it was funny. It was pretty funny. Because the other guys are like seeing this and like, ugh, stupid vampires. Ugh. And yeah, Twilight jokes inside of Magic Mike. Would you have ever expected that? No, you wouldn't. So, so yeah, that's basically all I can say about this film. So again, final verdict, it's probably not worth seeing at full price, even if it is your cup of tea, because I guarantee you, I'm probably one of the few people who could enjoy this for the other aspects, and not focus on the parts that are obviously not meant for me. But come on, let's be honest, guys. There's just as many stripper movies about female strippers appealing to guys. I think that the women can have one or two movies where male strippers are appealing to them. Just saying. But yeah, it's not worth seeing at full price if you're even interested. I would wait for a matinee or maybe the Value Theater, and if you can even get a free ticket or a dollar matinee like I had done, it's completely worth it. So yeah, that's it for this video. Did you enjoy what you saw? Did you see Magic Mike? Let me know what you thought about it inside the comments below. Maybe we can get some healthy discussion going about how bad I look or whatever. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to click the subscribe button and check out some of my other videos. I've got a link up in this corner for that, and I will have some links to other videos of mine right down here. And I'll see you all next time.